Welcome again to another episode of the Sealess Villains Podcast, your cultivators of the comic culture. I'm your host, AJ the Comic Collector. Tonight, I'm here with Luke and Red. How are you guys tonight?
Hey, AJ, doing
Great.
good.
E-Man has the night off.
E-Man's got the night off.
E-Man's taking the night off.
Yeah.
E-Man, we love you, miss you. Ready for you to be back. It's not the same without you, but come on back strong.
So tonight, listeners, we want to talk about comic shop etiquette. This is a subject actually that is near and dear to Luke. So we're going to have Luke pretty much navigate this topic, sir. Go ahead.
It's a really good topic because comics are collectible, right? And so you walk into a shop and you're basically looking at hundreds of thousands of pieces of paper, which are easily damaged. And so how do you act in a comic shop? There's like a certain etiquette you have to have with the shop owner, with other patrons, with other people shopping. How do you treat the books? How do you treat different types of books? Because if you're in the 50-cent bin and you're flipping through, are you going to treat that differently than if you're holding a wall book? You know, a $400 or $500 key issue like ASM 300 or ASM 129. And so it really is an etiquette you have to have when you walk into these shops. And some people have it. I've seen some people that don't have it. I know there's times where I've messed up. And what do you guys think? So you walk into a shop. What is the protocol for interacting in that shop?
I think, first of all, you shouldn't bring kids in there to mess with the books. I've seen 3-year-olds to 6-year-olds grabbing books off the shelves and brand new books for that day, and they just crumple up the pages. And my comic book shop guy, Al, he's been pretty good about that kind of behavior with children, because knowing that he puts the garbage books in front of the new books, that way they can
That's smart, actually.
take damage, and then whatever books gets damaged goes directly to the dollar bin books. Can
I just say though, I've never seen a child in my comic shop. I've shopped there for years. I have never seen, I can't say I've never, but I've probably in the last year, maybe twice seen someone under the age of 18 in there.
Now, is your shop strictly a comic shop, though?
Yes, 100% only comics.
Not even Funkos?
Not a single Funko, not a single Pokemon card.
I think that could be it then. I think that factors into the child not being there. A couple of the comic shops I go to, a lot of them are not just a comic shop. They've got the board games, they've got the Funkos, and they've got the toys. So I see parents come in with their kids and they'll say, do you guys have this toy there for, maybe they're going to a kid's party. So, they needed a gift for a kid. They're with their kids already. Now also, does your shop have comics for kids?
Yes, there is a kid dedicated area, which I assume is for parents to shop from. And there could be kids that do come into the shop, and it's not a knock on the shop at all, because
Right.
when I love seeing kids come into the shop, and honestly, it doesn't bother me if a kid holds a comic and doesn't treat it with reverence, like the reverence I do.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
comics are supposed to be read. They're supposed to be enjoyed for the story. A weekly floppy that has not been graded and is not a key issue, enjoy the heck out of it. Just open it, read it. Now, if you crumple it and you're a kid, and it's my kid, I'm buying that book. I don't care what it is. If my kid goes up and grabs a book and crumples it, that's now my book. And that's part of the etiquette. Now, here's another question with the etiquette occasionally, there will be a hot. Let's say Donnie Cates tweets something and says, "Oh my God, this week's Venom is going to blow your mind. Get ready." And you go to the shop, and there is a line of 20 people outside of the door, and it's 5 minutes before opening, and you're the first one in line. You know everyone in there in the line wants that Venom book, right?
Right.
What do you do when you go in, you're first in line, you walk up to the shelf, you see that beautiful stack of crispy, like let's say 10 copies of that Venom book. What do you do?
And the shop owner doesn't care how many I buy?
Let's just say for this conversation, no. The shop owner doesn't care, and but you know there are 19 guys behind you that also want a copy of that book.
Right. I would say minimum 2. If I'm feeling really bold, 5.
That's pretty bold. Knowing that the 19 guys behind you, you probably know at least half a dozen of them, getting the same book, and then you're grabbing 5 for yourself. You're getting some odd stares out when you leave that comic book store.
Well,
yeah, I would grab 2 at the maximum just to be to have that kind of etiquette, or mostly just 1. But yeah, when it's a hot book and you're the one of the guys who's known to flip books, you be the asshole and take the 10.
Well,
I
and
mean,
that's another thing, because you can develop a reputation. And I know all of the guys that do it. I see like the black truck pull up. I'm like, oh man, John's here. You know what I mean?
right.
I'm like, I know I'm gonna have to fast walk him to the back, and we're like bumping elbows.
It's like that sounds like you better hope that at least 1 book is in your pull list. That way you have 1 to take home. But when you got a fresh stack,
Yes, and that is, thank you, Red, for bringing that up. And not only your pull list, but if you know it's a hot book, message the owner at least 24 hours in advance to ask to save a single copy. Don't ask for multiples. Now, if you are because a lot of our listeners don't know about this. What does FOC stand for?
Final order
The
cutoff.
term final order cutoff. There is a final order cutoff for every book. If you are before that date, before the order is placed and the print shop is still going to print them, you can order however many you want. And the shop is thankful for that. The shop wants you to do that. The shop is ready for you to do that. They are praying for people to do that because they're getting a slice of every single issue that you order. So if you think of a Venom book, that's coming out in December, order 20 copies. And that shop is going to be grateful for you to do that, because they will then have a larger order that comes in.
Right.
And that 20 copies is set aside only for you to buy.
Yeah.
Right.
Luke,
And then that 20 copies is put.
What would you do in the scenario?
Luke 2 years ago would grab the whole stack.
See, I could not do whole stack. I wouldn't. I would not be able to do whole stack. But I'm like, well, you know what? Early bird gets the worm. I am gonna.
If that was me, I would show up an hour early. I would sit my ass on that concrete for an hour, and I would buy the whole stack. And now I don't. I'm like, you know what? I'll get a copy or 2. If there are 5 or less on the shelf, I will get 1. If there's 5 or more, I will buy 2.
But on
And it
10.
Yeah, of the hot book.
Yeah.
If there's 10, then I'll get 2.
Okay. So 2 no matter what. All right.
1
2 no matter what. If I go back the next day and there's still some there, I'll buy the stack.
Yeah. So I don't go to the shops when when they open. I go after work, but I hit up about 3 shops. Now, if there's like The thing that I hate though is I know one of the shops, they know the hot book.
Mm,
And
yeah.
the way I see it is if there's 3 left and it's already 536, like whoever was specking on that, they've got theirs. I feel as though I'm just gonna grab all 3 now because it's been a whole like 5-6 hours. But I've done that, and then sometimes I feel the shop owner, he'll be like, "Oh, that's a limit to 1." I'm like, "What?"
Can I name the shop that you're talking about that knows all the hot
No,
books?
let's not
no,
name.
no, no,
Let's not name the shop. We're not here to.
No.
We're not here to call anyone out. That's
No.
their business.
no.
And I do feel you that. And if I promise, if a shop owner occasionally does that, because my shop does that occasionally, they're like, "Hey, for this one, we know it's gonna sell out in an hour. Just 1 per person, guys." But then, like other books, they don't care. Like you can buy them all, and they're cool with it. It's a really chill shop. I love it. They take care of me. I take care of them. I spend thousands of dollars, obviously, at their shop every year. But if they put a 1 per limit, now other shops, they are very snooty about it, and they treat their customers like they're doing their customers a favor by selling them comics.
Right.
Ah, like they're like the Simpsons guy, the Simpsons guy selling comics, and
So
that's tough to swallow. That's tough to swallow.
so I'm okay with a 1 per limit, but I would like to see the sign. That's my only thing. It's like
Don't tell me when I get to the register with the
exactly,
books.
especially at the end of the day when no one has picked it up.
Yes.
And then
Yep,
he
because
sees me and he's
yes,
like, "Why is this guy picking up 3 copies?" Then he's like, "No, it's 1 per." And I'm like, all right then."
because that has happened to me before with shops where I have a big huge stack of like 20, 30 books, and I have like 3 copies of a new book. They go, "Oh, sorry, it's just one per customer." And I'm just like, "What?" Like, who cares, man?
Yeah.
It's like
Like
you're
I'm
still
buying
making
like
out your money.
I'm not here open. I'm here like a day later. The 1 per person.
So
But some shops just like to run it that way.
I've got a story about the limit. Venom 9, first appearance of Dylan, right? It
Yes.
it didn't blow up till maybe 3 or 4 months, right?
No. No, it was not. And in fact, okay, tell your story, then I'll tell my story.
Okay. So it was probably a few months after, right? I go to one of my shops once it
Nobody
starts.
cared.
Yeah,
Nobody cared about it
nobody
for the
cared.
first
Nobody
month.
cared. I went to one of the shops that I normally go to. They had about 6 or 7 copies. I was like, and it's already in the back issue. Like they don't have bins, but they have like a little section for back issues. I went ahead and
Okay,
picked up
okay, okay.
all 6. I
Okay,
go to the
good.
front to pay, and the guy working is like, "Oh, it's 2 per cover." I'm like, "Wait, what? What are you talking about?" And no, I think it was the worker was like, "It's 2 per. It's a 2 cover limit per cover," and I'm like, "This
Per
is a
cover,
back.
okay.
This is a back. This book is like 3 or 4 months old," and then he's like, "Well, that's just the store policy." So they had like another stack of books of something that was not selling at all. And I literally said, "So if I decided to buy that stack of the same book that no one's buying, the owner's going to tell me that I can only buy 2." And then the worker's like, "Well, I mean, that's the owner's rules." And I'm like, "All right, whatever." Next day, sure enough, they hiked up the price. And I'm like, "Dude, seriously?"
But you're
Yep.
obligated too.
Yes.
I got my 2 pissed off, but I was like, you know what? Like, that's not, I mean, I get it. You're a comic shop. You got to make your money. But if you didn't know that it blew up and now I'm picking it up and it's a back issue, I think that I should have every right.
It's a free for all.
Yeah.
Yep. I went, and that is, I had I used to have pull boxes in Portland. For people who don't know, Portland it really is kind of a comic mecca. in that
All the
in
writers
about
go
a
there.
20s in about and you'll see Bendis in shops, you'll see artists in shops, but uh, there are 13 shops in a 20 square mile area.
Wow.
13. And so I used to have pull boxes at 5 of them. And what I would do is I would have 5 books at this shop, 5 books at this shop. I had ASM and Venom at all of them to make sure that I got at least 5 copies. And then if you have a pull box, you get a shop discount, 10, 15, 20%.
Right, right.
That adds up if you're buying, a $300 comic. It's a nice little special.
Yep.
But then what ended up happening is that these shops would say, oh, we're sorry, we're only doing a 1 limit or a 2 limit. And I would be like, am I the customer or are you the customer? Like, who's the customer here? Like, if I go to the grocery store and I want to buy 50 gallons of milk, no one's going to stop me. They're not going to say, we're sorry, sir, the community needs the milk. We cannot sell you all the milk.
Yeah.
Like, I could buy 50 gallons of milk. And so it changed my buying habits big time. So a lot of my new book buying habits moved to online, where I felt like I wasn't going to be shamed, because there were a couple of times where there was 10 guys in line and they literally shame you. It's the worst feeling in the world. So if you're really a shop owner listening, don't shame your customers. Please don't shame. Put a sign up. Just put a sign up. 2 per limit, so we know. Don't tell the customer at the register. Make a sign, put it up so that we know. I think that for the owners is a good etiquette.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, Red.
No, go ahead. I'll make my statement after yours.
For me, it's since Al knows all of his customers personally, he puts aside a stack for them only. And when he comes to the flippers that he knows, he upcharges the book 4 times their value.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
Definitely he's watching out for us, the regular customers. Is his always people coming back for this type of service.
Okay.
And the flippers, they'll come and go. There's about two or three book stores in the area. They're all gonna go make their rounds and take books. And granted, he already knows them. He's gonna flip and get the money then from those guys.
Exactly. And you know what? He's been in there long enough where he can do whatever the hell he wants to do.
Oh yeah, 96 years old. Don't mess with the old man.
Yeah,
he still has.
You could say anything to him. He doesn't care. No, but I actually hit one shop and they I opened up their back issue bin, and it wasn't even their back issue bin. It was their $2 bins. It was their $2 bins, and they were doing a 50% off. So every book in these bins were $1.
Right.
I opened it up, and it was 2 months after Venom 9 had come out. There were 20 copies of Venom 9.
Oh, man.
20 copies. And this is still, though, when Venom 9 was still like $6, $7, $8. I bought them all, and they didn't even care. They were happy. They're like, clear them out. But I went home that night, and Red, you were probably even in the sale, bought one. I sold them all for cover price.
Oh yeah!
Oh, wow.
20 copies of Venom 9 for $4.
$4.
I made $3 a book, but I still think about that. I'm like, man, that's an $80 book now. But that's kind of
who could have known that?
Yeah,
time
who could have known?
Picked up.
Nobody could have foreseen that. But
Yeah.
I think that's the etiquette. I think that's another etiquette I want to bring up, where it's if you're selling books and if you're a flipper, more power to you, but don't try and bleed every book dry. You know what I'm saying? If you're making money off books, make your money off the book and move on. I've sold some crazy books for crazy cheap, and you just can't even think about it. Sell it and move on.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to buy a hot book, and even if you're going to make double cover or $2 or $3 in a cover. Sell that, build your customer base, and move on. Don't worry about holding on to every book. And I sold an 8.0 Giant Size X-Men last summer for $600. And I could dwell on that. I could dwell on a lot of books, but you can't. You just have to say, if you're going to sell, if you're going to go into a shop and have etiquette, think about your reputation, think about how people perceive you, and that's important, because if you develop a good reputation, then people are going to want to be around you and be near you and buy your books and sell you books as well.
Yeah.
And for all the guys out there listening, really, really take that to heart. Don't try and bleed every book dry.
All right. Don't call back. Don't cancel eBay wins or auction wins just because you just found out that book picked up in price. I mean, I've seen that happen way too much in the last 3 months.
That is huge now, and guys are eBay canceling. They're doing dollar starts, and a book will sell. Oh, sorry, it sold for $53, and I needed $80. Like, you just honor your commitment.
Yeah, there's no reserve bin price on that thing.
Usually for me on eBay, when I post something up, the starting bid is my minimum. That's how I do it. Now, does it always work? I've got some stuff that I've had to relist every so often, but I'm fine with that. I mean, that is my minimum, and I'll keep it at that minimum.
Well, because the comic book game for you is not supplementing your income for most of these sellers, right? This is just you moving books and then getting the next one, correct?
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, it's not like my full-time thing. It is supplemental in the fact that it's extra money, but yeah. If I was to never flip another book, I'd still be able to eat and pay rent and things like that,
Eat and live, yeah. And enjoy the hobby.
Yeah. Speaking of eBay, and I kind of thought about this. This happened. Do you guys remember the Marvel event Secret Wars, the one that came out like 5-6 years ago?
Secret Wars, not 2, but
yeah, the new one.
Yeah, the new one.
Civil War?
2015.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
No, it was just Secret. They just called it Secret Wars.
Yeah. So Deadpool had
with the Alex Ross art, right? With all the Alex Ross art.
Yes. One of the tie-ins was like a Deadpool's Secret Wars, and one of the variant covers was a hip hop Run the Jewels, and I pre-ordered from.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I
huge book now.
Is it? Oh, I've got a few copies of it.
I'll buy for you from cover.
Yeah, maybe I should have said that, AJ. Oh God! Oh no! It's a cover price book, AJ. I'll take one.
Anyways, I had pre-ordered this book from a shop on eBay. He was the only one listing it. I actually called the shop and I said, "Hey, is this a store variant? Because your guys are the only one listing it." He's like, "No. It's just I don't know why, but we're the only one listing it." I ended up pre-ordering from them 5 copies for I think at the time he was selling it for like $15. Okay. And then all of a sudden, as the release date was nearing, more shops had ordered it and they were listing it on eBay. And the shop that I had originally ordered it from, I guess now they weren't selling. So they listed the price to cover price now. Okay.
This is the Nick Gazin book, right?
Yes, the Nick Gazin. Yes, Nick Gazin.
All right.
So I'm like, you know what? I ordered it like a month back for $15 cover price. Now they're listing it on eBay for the regular cover price. I actually contacted. Now, tell me if I'm in the wrong. I had not received the book yet. They had not received it. They listed it lower. So I just contacted them and I said, hey, I still want the books, but I noticed that you guys have lowered the price on eBay. Can you give me the lowered price?
Oh, okay. So you pre-ordered it at $15 a book.
Yeah.
And then by the time release came, they had lowered it to
Cover
Cover.
price.
cover price. Cover
Yeah.
price.
Yeah.
They should honor
Should
the new
should
price
the
now.
shop honor that?
Yes.
100%.
Okay. Because
100%. They should. If
am
the
I
book has not been released yet, they should 100% honor that new price.
am I in the wrong for asking that?
No, you're not,
No.
because they were counting
No.
on that book to be selling at that price and then selling out, but
Yeah.
it didn't. So it had to go drop back down to cover.
Yeah. I mean,
I will do that even in my sales. If a book, let's say, I sold a book for $30 in my last sale, right? I don't often look up eBay prices on books. I will just sell them. I'll like, this is a cool book, $30, kind of. Sometimes I'll look prices up, sometimes I won't. But I sold the book for $30. It's what I paid for it. I looked it up on eBay. It's going for $10. Now, a guy, he's a brand new customer, had claimed it for $10 or for 30, but they're selling for $10 on eBay with like, this guy has like 100 of them and he's selling them
Yeah.
for $10 each. So I just messaged him. I was like, hey man, this book dropped. I'll sell it to you for $10. Are you cool with that? And he went, yeah, of course I'm cool with it, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like $20 off.
But it's gonna give you a good name. And if the shop didn't do that, they're going to develop a bad reputation.
Yeah. I mean, they actually ended up canceling the order. I don't think they were too happy about it, but they weren't like they didn't make a big stink about it, but I could kind of tell through the message that they were like, you can't, that's not cool that you're doing that. And I'm like, well, I still want the books, but you're selling it cheaper and I haven't got it yet. You haven't even got it yet.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's better off just to cancel the order and go back and reorder at that price. That way they can say that invoice has been canceled.
Yeah.
Now, which one was it again? Was it the one? It wasn't the one with Deadpool and the
No,
and the Infinity Gauntlet,
not
was
that
it?
one, not that one. That's the Rocket Raccoon one, right? No, it's the Nick Gazin one. It's just like a weird looking Deadpool.
Looking it up right now.
Okay.
Deadpool, Secret Wars.
That one, yeah.
That one.
Okay. Deadpool, Secret Wars. Now that's the one. Is that the series then that Gwenpool showed up in? Right, number 2.
2, yes, yeah, 2.
But this one's issue 1. Oh, and here's another Nick Gazin art. It's a picture of his dad.
Oh.
That's awesome.
So I bought that from him for about $50. It's like, hey, it's something weird, kind of kitschy.
Yeah.
His dad. And appreciated it. Then he signed my book. Personalized it.
That is really cool.
Now to all
but I think that they should definitely honor or do the honorable thing and not expect the customer to pay $15 a book.
Yeah. And going back to the shop etiquette, we're not trying. We understand that shops want to. They don't like it when someone comes out and he clears out all their books. They
actually do. They want to clear the shelves out.
Well, they don't want that one flipper to do that. We understand that could be some bad etiquette, and it takes some sort of self-control for us who know that there's a hot book. But, we would like the owners, if you guys know it's a hot book also, give us a limit. That way we don't have to look stupid when we are up at the register too,
And by the way, yeah, and when I was shamed at that comic shop, I closed my box the next week. I closed it. I went, all right, just message the guy. I didn't even say anything about the limit. Yeah. I was just like, I'm just gonna focus and I'm done. And
just take your
he's
business
like, all right,
elsewhere.
cool, see you.
Yeah.
I talked with my wallet. I don't usually complain to people. I talk with my wallet.
And conversely, there's another shop that I have gone to, and anytime I go in there, all the books are gone. And I ask, like, you guys don't have this book? You don't have that book? And they're like, yeah, there's a person comes in the morning and they cleared it all out. So conversely, you don't want that. You don't want to keep allowing that person, because someone like me is not going to go is going to know that shop is not reliable, and you can't go to that shop for anything.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
But sometimes they can't
exactly.
foresee that though. Where a guy would just come in the morning first thing and beat out all his regulars and take all the books.
And what do you do? I mean, do you have your shop just be the Wild West? I kind of think if I ran a comic shop, I would just have it be the Wild West, but where anything goes, within legal
Reason,
limits, obviously.
yeah, reason,
Yeah,
yeah,
within reason,
yeah,
I think, but I can also understand where if I got complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint, or guys fighting, I've actually witnessed an actual fight with two guys running for a book. One guy gets first, and a fight breaks out. I can understand why these rules are implemented, right? Because if two
yeah.
guys are running to the back of the shop to the Venom section, one guy is literally 6 inches in front of the other guy, gets the book, and the other guy, grabs 5 books, and the other guy just wants one,
Yeah.
then what do you do? It puts shops in kind of an impossible situation. I just make it clear. That's all we're asking. Make it clear to the customer, and we'll be happy. Don't tell us at the register.
We'll abide by the rules that you
Yeah.
set already, especially if they're all your regulars. And if you're smart enough, order extra for those slippers, and always set aside another stack for your regulars. That way, there's plenty of books for everybody.
Yep.
And for the flippers, don't be like me. Be more considerate.
Well, I've become more considerate, only because I've had to be, as I want to be more known in the community, and pretty much I think I know every single shop owner now in the Portland area.
Right.
And I walk in and they know me by name. Hey, Luke, how's it going? And hey, what's up? You don't want to have that bad reputation,
Yeah, exactly.
and you want a reputation of someone who is a buyer, is going to be respectful, but is also going to bring a business.
For me, I actually have, it kind of sucks to say because it takes away from the regular brick and mortars, but when I know there's a book that's going to be hot, with the FOC, it's not news anymore. It's well, like if you follow any sort of comic website or anything, or any of the writers, they'll tell you a new character's coming up in 3 or 4 issues. So with the advent of the internet, I normally, if I'm specking on a book, I'll buy it online. I'll buy 5 copies of it online, and then when I go to a shop,
Yes.
and if it's there, I'll pick up a copy,
Mhm.
maybe 2 if it's reasonable.
Yes. Yes, 100%. There is the Josh Middleton Wonder Woman. I think it's the cover coming out either this week or next week, where it is a close up of her face, of Diane's face, and it is I spec'd on it hard before FOC that it's going to be the next Batgirl 23. The white cover where she's
Yeah.
staring off in the distance. We all missed that. I missed that. I saw that when I think 2018 it came out in April. March, BTC sent me the email. Hey, 10 packs of Batgirl 23 for $30. 10 packs of Batgirl 23 for $30. And I was like, screw that. I'm just gonna get one copy.
Yeah.
We all missed that book, and that book is like a $200 book now.
You know the one
But
that I thought was really gonna blow up out of those Batgirl was the half face, half skeleton one. That one I really liked. I bought it.
that is an insane cover. That is literally, you can pick it up for like $2.
Yeah. That was the one I thought. That's the one. That's the one.
That is the one. And
Yeah.
literally, it's 23.
Yeah.
It's 23. Nobody cares about 24 with the awesome skeleton and the card and the face. And you're like, that is an insane cover. I met Sean Aldridge, the writer for that issue. did a signing. I pre-ordered 10 copies. I got them all signed. I actually sold them for like $10, $15 each. But now it's nothing. 23 is literally like a $200 book right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, 24 nothing. But I am going hard on this Wonder Woman book coming out. I think I pre-ordered 20 copies. But it could fail. And that's kind of what shops go through. Like, what do I do? Do I order the 20 copies? And then they have a list of 200 titles. So do they order 20 copies of every title?
Right.
They can't do that. The shop would be out of business in a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they'll be sitting on so much inventory that you can't get rid of it, and you lose out on that actual cash flow. So they have to limit their orders for their regulars, and then a few extras for people who don't have it on their pull list.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a tough business. I mean, they're operating on pennies. I think it's another thing to bring up with with store variants with these guys who are, if you're buying a book at $15 to $20, that is a pretty big profit margin on a book that they're paying the same amount that a comic shop is buying, and they are only selling for cover price.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty interesting with we're in a kind of a weird variant store exclusive period in our collecting. I think it's anyone's guess where 2021 is going to take us. I think we have to do a show. We need to do a speculation show on 2021 and then see each one of us needs to write like what's going to happen, and then we'll do a follow-up,
I feel that there will be a bit of a dip in the overall industry, only because of COVID, it doesn't seem like it's still going to be maybe at least mid-year before there's any resemblance of normalcy. That's just my personal opinion. Because people are continue, like if things are still shut down still, more and more people are going to be out of work. So
yep. Jobs are going to be lost. I know I lost my job over the summer. My position was cut. So I'm on the COVID unemployment.
oh wow.
So I'm with everybody right there. I mean, they came through and just slashed our whole budget. And it was shocking, but I'm not worried about it. But I do think that it's going to affect the collecting. April was an insane month, right? Can we just say how crazy April was?
Everyone was getting the stimulus check. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people were. And then there was that $1,200 a month, or $1,200
and
every 2 weeks.
then your regular tax the tax return.
Yes. Yep. I did 3 months worth of selling in April alone. It was absolutely crazy, and it's still going steady. In fact, what is going on this week? This is a crazy week for ASM 300s. I don't even know what's going on. Why did ASM 300? Is this just like the community?
I would say it's a crazy
like the community going crazy.
I think it's been like that maybe at least 2 weeks now, right?
Or is it 2 weeks? 2 weeks?
Yeah.
1 week? What is going on with ASM 300? Why the heck did that just pop overnight? I mean,
know.
Venom has been huge forever, and then all of a sudden people are like, we want to spend triple on Venom 300. ASM 300.
Well, do you think it's like the venture capitalists getting over there and getting into the comic book game, since stocks is getting really pretty shitty, and now they're doing a speculation game on what we're doing? Because granted, there's money in what we do here, and then with the Spider-Man rumors coming out with having Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire joining Tom Holland, that's just going to open up the door again for ASM 300 to raise in price. I mean, Venom's not going to be in it, but maybe later MCU movies. I figured that's when that price should be raising up, but not right now. I thought it was leveling off over the summer. I had an offer. Actually, the guy offered me to buy his Edge of Spider-Verse 2 for 300, and I should have taken up on that. It was during January, when there was, fresh off of New Year's, there was a convention there, and there wasn't a lot of Spider-Man news, so the price did drop for Edge of Spider-Verse. But now, ever since the video game news came out for Miles Morales, and then more stuff for Spider-Man, most of the Spider-Man properties have decided to go back up in price.
Yeah.
Am I wrong on that?
You're not wrong.
how about what was the other one? Ultimate Fallout.
That's leveled off. It's leveled off.
But
Yeah.
still, that thing went up like gangbusters.
1,200.
That-
During the peak.
Yeah,
peak,
that went
yeah.
stupid high.
And anything related to
That
Miles
went
Morales,
stupid high.
the hip hop covers, the Miles Morales titles for volume 1 and 2, those went up.
But back on track to etiquette. Yeah. So, we've covered the comic shop etiquette, but Luke and Red, you've also got a different type of comic etiquette that you guys wanted to bring up.
Oh, Facebook, or let's say social media etiquette.
All
Social
right.
media etiquette.
Okay. You guys want to share the story, or
I'll
it-
leave it up to Luke for that one. I'll back him up.
We had, in the RKFA group, Rare Key First Appearance group, we have people from every background, from every race, almost countless countries,
Any
straight,
genders.
gay, trans, everybody's welcome. It's
Different
comic.
classes of money.
Yeah, you could be poor, you could be rich. I don't care. In fact, there are some rich guys in that group beyond who are buying Batman 1s. They're buying, we're not talking like AF-15s. We're talking like Batman 1s. We're talking like Wonder Woman 1s. We're talking like we're talking like Tech 27s they're posting in there. It's awesome. It's an awesome group. But we had a guy.
High rollers.
There are some high rollers. And I love it. I don't even get an ounce of jealousy because I'm like, you know what? These guys have their own story. They made their money or inherited it. And if they inherited it, then their ancestors made that money for them, and more power to them, right? But the only thing that I cannot tolerate in any of the groups is to hate somebody for something that they cannot choose. So race or sexuality. When you hate someone for those two things, it just seriously sets me off. And it's pretty much an auto boot for me. So if someone makes a racist comment, or if someone makes a comment on someone's sexuality, if they're gay or trans or straight, there's no mute. It's just, do not pass go, do not collect $200. You're gone. You're out of the game.
right?
And we had a guy who thought it would be fun to start dropping
The
N
N-bombs.
bombs on N bomb, and I'm like, what? Who? What? I seriously couldn't even believe it. I was like, what am I like? This still exists in 2020, and it really. This is what I want to bring up. It really does show the importance of empowering people who have not had a voice in this country for a long time, right?
Right.
And that, obviously, it's not my job to, I don't think I am any important person to empower people, but I think if I see injustices, then if I don't do something, then I'm just as guilty of if I were part of it.
Right.
So when you're in a group and you've got to be aware of how you're interacting with other members.
I agree. I mean,
You got to keep a certain decorum.
did that guy, his rant or whatever, was it on the actual, like, for everyone to see, or was it sent individual? I mean, it doesn't matter, but did he send
It was
to?
private message. It was private message to. he sent me private message, a very hateful speech via private message.
But it
And
was
so he
instigated
was,
by a post made by another vendor about his books, and having this gentleman prove that he really owned these books, because being black, and you have certain liberties or privileges, like affirmative action helped them get these books.
That's what the other guy was
yeah,
telling him.
that's what he was saying. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm like, do you even I was like, do you even know the history of black people in comics? Because if you go back to the 1940s, and sorry for this rant, I'm not sorry for this rant, but if you go back to the 1940s, minorities were running comics and were making the equivalent of $70 million per year. This is insane. They are wealthy. These are black Americans who are wealthy. They're doing great. They are producing comics. I'm sure we've all heard of a lot of these black-owned comics from the 40s. They're awesome comics. They're great reads. But what happened was this insane German scientist, I can't even believe that we were listening to this crazy German scientist in the late 1940s, came out and said that comics are evil. That comics are evil, and the root of all evil, and the root of why kids are turning bad. So what happened was this huge national backlash against minority-run comics. Everyone went out and burned all of these comics, Action Number Ones, Tech 27s, Wonder Woman, Batman Number Ones, all of these books from the 1940s went up in flames. These were not rare books. These are books that were produced in the thousands. There should be plenty of Batman ones to go around, but they were all burned. And these minorities who are running these comics, these black guys, Asian guys, all lost their businesses because it just tanked overnight. And then the Comics Code came out and said that you have to produce comics in a certain way, otherwise we're not gonna approve it.
Right.
And so I'm like, if you understand the history behind why, it has nothing to do with affirmative action. It has nothing to do with, because minorities have been in black people, Asian people, Hispanic people have been in comics almost longer than white people. But
You can
this
also
one
go back
crazy
into
German
caveman
scientist, yes,
caveman
yes,
days. They didn't have any kind of written language, so everything in their language was in pictures. So
yeah, how we operated, for sure. But specifically in the 40s, and that's where it just gets me riled up.
I wish I could get like, if I can go to the first cave and like drill the whatever inscription they had, and I'd CGC that first ever comic.
have the original caveman just
Yeah.
certify that for you.
Yeah.
Oh man. People actually do that though, because when I worked with the Navajos for 3 years, I taught English right off the Navajo reservation down in Arizona, and they have these old hieroglyphs that are like paintings on the side of these cliffs,
Uh-huh.
and like nobody knows where these are at. They're hidden. But I befriended some Navajos, and they took me out there, and but a couple of them actually were chiseled out. Like people chiseled them off and took the rock home.
Wow,
Damn.
that's
Yeah, it's pretty
cool
sad
artifact.
actually. Yeah, like stole like a 10,000-year-old art, or however old,
Well, going back to the etiquette, just keeping your behavior on these social media groups. That's all you've got to do, and not getting kicked out. Yeah, you can have a spirited debate. You can boast about your comic books in your collection, but we're not all about having to measure each other's dicks. We've got to just share the books that we have, share the love that we have with these books, And then if you want to sell them, go ahead. And you can complain about the price. You can complain about where you got them, but just don't go outright and go for the low hanging fruit and start, slaying the racial slurs.
Yeah, that's very true. I just in general, listeners, use some common sense. Just use common sense. Owners, collectors, human beings, just use some common decency.
Yeah, be decent. I use the motto of I treat everyone like my grandmother. Literally, like how I write my posts, how I interact online. If I'm cool saying it to my grandmother, then I'll write it. If I can't say it to my grandmother, I'm not writing it.
That's good words to live by, actually. I like that.
It's permanent. Even if you try and delete that post is still in some server somewhere, and they could pull it up.
Yeah.
That post is not gone. If they want to pull it up, they can pull it up.
There's even posts of anybody out there who has nudes from 2005 somewhere hidden.
Exactly.
So because
yeah, all your texts. It's like if you delete a voicemail, you can go and have Verizon or AT&T pull it up and undelete it.
Yep.
There's always
Think of what you're posting. Think of what you're posting.
And how you're acting in public as well.
Yeah.
Michelle and how you're acting at these shops.
Be better. Be better. or be best. Be best.
Be best.
Well, what's Biden's slogan? Building better something. Biden? Building better Biden?
No,
building better.
Building.
It's 3 B's. It's
well, it's not the Better Business Bureau.
Biden's slogan is he needed to work on his slogan a little bit.
All right, I think we've covered everything about etiquette. We're going to move on to entertainment news. The biggest news, again, Luke is going to break it. Well, not actually break it, but he's going to bring up the topic of the biggest entertainment news that we had this week. Luke?
Build back better.
Oh, okay.
That was it.
Build back better. Yes, that's right.
Build back better. Whew. Yeah, great. So a lot of entertainment news this week. Quibi is shutting down, and can I hear a collective groan from our community? Oh, Quibi. I was thinking the 0 people groaned.
I'm not groaning because I don't know anyone who's had Quibi.
Nobody used it. They put a paywall on it. They should have gone TikTok. They should have gone the TikTok route. They had a brilliant idea that they did not execute, that they could have literally asked anyone on the street, and they could have given them better advice than these guys who got $2 billion, $2 billion to create this, and they failed. If they would have put a community-run system where people could upload their own short form and everyone was interacting, and then have that anchoring their tent poles, because the one thing that I am sad about is that the Ice Cream Man series is now not going to happen. And we were all I was excited for that.
It's going to get picked up,
though. It's a great series. Hopefully it will. Hopefully.
Yeah, Hulu, Netflix, they're looking to buy more programs.
But they're so full already. I mean, they have their own programming. I think it's dead. I think it's dead in the water. So Quibi is no more, and that means Ice Cream Man. Are we going to see a drop in Ice Cream Man valuations?
I don't know. I sold mine right when it was starting to heat up. So, I honestly, I was never, it never drew me the book. So that's why
you didn't regret that sale then.
I did not regret that sale.
Okay. That's something you wouldn't take back. It was like, oh, it's still rising up in price. I shouldn't have sold it at that time. I should have just kept it.
Yeah, no regrets on that.
No regrets?
I sold my run for 1 through 15 run. I think I sold it for 75 right when it's heating up, and I was feeling good about that. So, but it is sad to see another property that's not going to be made. Whenever you see comic book properties that are optioned, it usually means that just somebody bought the rights to it. It does not mean that it's going to be made.
Yep.
And this is exactly why.
Almost everything, almost every, it seems as almost everything's getting optioned now. So,
Well, guaranteed all the Marvel and DC properties are already been optioned for movies, but all the independent titles are now
Yes.
getting into
yeah,
the same groove.
yeah,
These are pre-made storyboards and scripts.
exactly.
They are the I mean, they already have their storyboards, they already have their scripts. Why wouldn't studios be going after these comics? And that's why comics aren't going anywhere anytime soon. I think comics are here to stay. Just in the paper format, are they going to, and we talked about that a couple months ago, or are they going to move to a digital format? I'm actually fine with either. If they move to a digital format, I'm fine with that, because then we'll just focus on back issues and keys, which are my main goal anyways. But who knows?
There is a new comic company. I don't know. I can't remember the name, but their way of selling comics is they're not doing single issues. They're coming out with trades. Do you recall what company that was?
Oh, so just doing trades. I don't know off the top of my head, but
Yeah,
that is honestly, if they just release trades, that's not a bad idea.
yeah, yeah.
And releasing maybe one a month, so collecting 4 issue or 2 issues. But who knows? I mean, that I think companies really do have to kind of rethink their business model. I think between March and maybe now even has been a kind of utopia for us online sellers. I think that's probably going to start changing here in the next 3 months. So sellers, hold on to your hats. With that, there is my second entertainment news about UCS comic distributors dropping DC after only 6 months.
Yeah.
Shit,
That's
they were
crazy.
dropping the ball.
Is that they're not going back to Diamond though, right?
I don't think they have a choice. Well, they have to go to somebody.
Well, they were going.
No, Lunar.
Yeah,
Lunar is the other one. And I didn't fully understand the difference between Lunar and UCS. What is Lunar Midtown, right? Lunar's Midtown Comics warehouse. If I
It's one or the other. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It's, Midtown Comics, owners of UCS, had enough dealing of DC Comics at a distributor level lease. So it was UCS that had dumped DC Comics, not
Okay.
DC Comics dumping UCS.
Is it Lunar DCBS, the discount comic book?
Looking for
Discount
the...
comic books?
It's one of them.
Yeah.
It's one of them. It's been so confusing. I think
Comic
none of us even
distributors-
care.
UCS has been dropping the ball under their deliveries. You know, they supposed
Every
to start,
single week. There has
Yeah.
not been a DC delivery on time since they took over. And that's a crying shame, really. Even today's order was not even into my shop until today at 4 p.m. And it's supposed to be there Monday
right for
a Tuesday release. Yeah.
That's funny.
And that's why I think DC was mad about it.
That's funny because one of the shops I went to on Tuesday, I was able to pick up my DC books. It's really weird because for a while they couldn't get their books on time, and now it's on time, and now it seems like now your guys' shops over getting screwed over.
Yeah, we're struggling. Yep. And they're also setting minimums, though. They're setting a minimum to $125 a week per order, which is huge if you break that down. So they have to effectively order 30 books a week, or they're not going to honor their contract. So the contract will be void. So that's another interesting thing. Now, if you're a shop and you're not ordering at least 30 books a week, then you probably need to rethink your business model. But I still think
Yeah.
it's interesting that they would put, because 30 bucks a week, week after week after week after week, that adds up fast.
Well, there's one entertainment news that I'm actually really looking forward to, and it is the DC Future State. Are you guys aware of this?
I heard a little bit about it, but fill us in.
Okay, so basically, back when Dan DiDio was still with DC, he was going to implement the 5G, and it was basically, from my understanding, it was going to be a brand new reboot, and it was going to be fresh new take on all the characters, especially the Trinity. From my understanding, it was going to be a new Batman, a new Superman, and a new Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Now, from my understanding, 5G, well, that this is fact. There is no longer DC 5G, but now I think it's going to be either January. They're going to start this thing called DC Future State, and from my understanding,
Okay.
this is essentially the characters that they were going to use for 5G, but it's more of like an Elseworlds Tales.
Nice.
Now, I don't know too much about all the characters that they're using, but there is one that I'm very excited about, and it is Dan Mora's Dark Detective. Um, we've covered Dan Mora a little bit. I think it was last week. He does a lot of the work for Boom in Power
Power
Rangers.
Rangers.
Yeah, and now he's got this book with DC, the Dark Detective. I'm really looking forward to that. It looks like there's a new Wonder Woman, and there's a few new or a few variations of Superman. So this is something I'm looking forward to. I might pick up maybe not all, but a lot of them because if I understand this, this is only a 2 month thing, so it's not a long term commitment. So I'm looking forward to that DC Future State.
I That
And
actually sounds really cool.
yeah, yeah. And another news that was brought to our attention. Looks like there's going to be a Marvel versus Aliens beginning in January 2021. Now,
Yep.
I don't know
Really?
if I don't know if this is actually going to be a storyline thing or is this just variant covers? Do you guys have any information on that?
Now we're just looking at the information that we just received. I mean, looking at there is no actual. It seems like there is no actual integration with the Alien story with the Marvel universe yet, but it looks like it's just mostly for variant covers. But Luke has spec those
Those alien
earlier
books, yeah.
Alien books. You know, they're gonna start rising in price just because now it's in the Marvel universe, and hopefully within the middle of the year that we do see um aliens, most likely in the Venom storyline with Null.
Right. So
Yes.
here's my theory on this. Um, what are those? You know how Marvel just announced their Rising Stars artist that had Peach.
Oh, the Thunder or Stormbreakers.
Yes, yes, yes. One of the artists is, and I hope I don't butcher his name, Ivan Coelho, and he's done a few
Yes.
issues. He's done a few fill-in issues for Venom. Now I follow his Instagram, and every so often he's posting, and he's been doing this for at least I would say 2 or 3 months. He's been posting pencils and inks for drawings of the Alien franchise. Now, I don't know what that
Okay.
means, but it appears as though for a while I thought that he was going to be doing an Alien book, but he would just post these photos of him working on something regarding the aliens. And now with this announcement with the variants, I'm almost thinking that maybe he's got something in the works where he's working on some sort of either mini series regarding a crossover with the Marvel Universe and Aliens. I mean, this is all obviously spec talk, but if you put
Yes.
1 + 1 = 2, and maybe if you divide by 3, multiply by 4.
No,
There's
that is a
always got
great
some
thought.
kind of a truth to the spec talk.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of truth.
Well, and that is even. Are you done with your thought on there? Because I have
Yes.
another
Yeah,
piggyback on that. Aliens, there is actually a brand new show. Resident Alien is actually coming to Sci-Fi, I think this week or next week. And it does have a first appearance. So if you guys do want to pick this up, it's Dark Horse Presents number 4 from 2011. Dark Horse Presents issue number 4. I think it's from 2011, first Resident Alien. It actually looks like a really good show, and it looks funny. It looks kind of like a what was the movie with the alien and like Simon Pegg and all of those guys? Do you remember? It was like Art. Was it? It wasn't
Where they go
Arthur,
to
was
the
it? Or
where they go to the convention in the beginning.
I think
At
so.
World's
Yeah.
End?
Well, no, it was like they were in the motorhome driving around with that little alien guy.
Yeah. I remember. I don't remember the
It
name.
kind
of
of it kind of has that vibe to it, kind of a funny vibe
Okay.
where he's like a doctor. He's a doctor, but he's an actual alien, and he can like transform. But pick up that book. It's flying under the radar. It's still cheap, actually. Dark Horse Presents number 4 from 2011.
Oh, you guys should see this Peach Momoko cover for Black Cat.
Yeah, she is. Well, she's going Marvel exclusive, right? This next year. I guess you could say that's
Yeah.
some pretty big news too.
Yeah.
That Peach Momoko signing a Marvel exclusive contract as soon as she finishes up all her other obligations. Obviously, Dynamite, IDW. She's doing their Usagi covers, so she'll finish once she finishes all those up. She's going to go Marvel exclusive for who knows how long. My guess is a year. It's probably a year contract, and
man.
they reevaluate. But
I
that
hope
to
she
me
does some interior
is
covers.
you know what, she excels when she gets to lay down some lines and inks. I think she has been doing a lot of she's been doing her own colors and inks. And so I think if she starts teaming with an inker where she can get her lines down, and then an inker can come around and put on top of that, I think she'll do really well.
I want to retract my Ivan prediction because I went to his Instagram and I think he might have been drawing them for fun. Because one of them was actually he did an Aliens versus Predator piece, but it looks like he did it for maybe a friend. And then one of them was actually a work in progress for the Shang-Chi versus Aliens cover. So maybe I misspoke on that or spoke too soon on my theory. But either way, that'd be nice if Marvel and Aliens did a crossover. I think it will happen eventually because they did purchase that property. So
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun.
It would be cool to see it. It would be cool.
And if this is their introduction to that property, they're gonna do it right.
yeah.
Yep, I agree.
All right, guys. I think that's about it for tonight. To our listeners, we're not going to do picks of the week. E-Man's not here. Luke wasn't able to get his books, and to be quite honest, I wasn't able to read all the books that I was able to purchase. So we'll continue that. We'll bring all those books back next week.
And there's still a contest on E-Man's Instagram for the Transformers book. Just sit up as IG at Sealess E-Man.
Yep. And make sure you guys follow Luke Weeks, and his Facebook group. Luke, you want to plug that again?
Yeah, Facebook group, Rare Key First Appearance Comics. Come hang out. It's a
Behave
lot
yourselves.
Of fun.
Behave yourselves.
Yes, behave
Get the
yourselves.
racist comment at 0.
Your grandma's listening.
And happy birthday to your daughters, Luke.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, happy birthday, sir. Red, what's that hotline?
Oh, the hotline is 209-975-7597. Call day and night for stock advice, relationship advice, DIY tips, and I think we're getting into the Kama Sutra thing too.
Whoa! All right. Okay. All right. Yeah, I want someone to hit us up for some life advice because I want to drop some jewels.
Send us your questions. Yes, send us your questions.
Yeah.
Also, our email at clessvillains@gmail.com.
Yep, and we have an Instagram and a Facebook group, so make sure you guys look for that as well. I am AJ the Comic Collector, and you can find me on Instagram, AJ the Comic Collector. Thank you guys, and have a good night.
Peace.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of the C-List Villains Podcast, your cultivators of the comic culture. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and Spotify. All you got to do is search for C-List Villains. If you want to send us an email, you can contact us at clistvillains@gmail.com. Make sure you follow Luke Weeks on Facebook and Instagram, and join his Facebook group, Rare Keys and First Appearance Comics, also known as RKFA Comics. I'm your host AJ, and you can find me on Instagram, AJ the Comic Collector. Thank you, and see you next episode.